So I decided to make this video because in my Draw My Life video, it seemed like I was just talking about the things that happened to me and not the things that I've done. So I'm going to go through a few mistakes I've made that haunt me to this day. I don't recommend doing these. They've all had lasting consequences and are not fun. I was pretty terrible when I was a boy. When I was 5 or 6, I stole a bite of my mother's sacred peanut butter cups that she hid in her dresser drawer. To hide that I'd done it, I simply hid the wrapper under some clothes in the drawer. Later, while I was playing with some toys on my bed, I heard lots of yelling and crying. My mother and pseudo-father figure were dead set that my younger sister had stolen the peanut butter cup. It took about a half an hour of hearing the spankings and cries before I ran out to tell them it was me. I don't think I will ever stop feeling guilty about that. In my first year of middle school, I had a friend I would hang out with quite a lot. I would go over to his house and play Twisted Metal for hours. He would always carry around a small notebook and could often be found writing in it. One day, someone from school broke into his locker and got their hands on the notebook. Inside was found descriptions of every person he'd met. They started telling me how he describes me as having large ears like a monkey, and because I was stupid, I confronted him. I ended our friendship, and the next day he moved. I never got to fix things when I realized my mistake. During my years in middle school, I would often ride my bike home. The journey took me past a massive grocery store where they had massive racks of magazines. The magazines were full of Pokemon guides and beautiful women, so I'm ashamed to admit that I went on a bit of a shoplifting spree for the first and last time. For nearly a month, I would swipe a magazine every day. Needless to say, I was caught. I spent an hour crying thinking I was going to jail, and attempting to downplay my horrible spree before the managers decided that I'd learned my lesson and sent me home. They were right. I've never stolen anything since. Halfway through my first year of high school, I was constantly complaining about being aggressively picked on. My mother was getting pretty tired of it, and I guess she gave up. So she came to me and asked if I wanted to just drop out and get my GED. I was a stupid kid who really thought that school was soul-sucking and boring, so of course I said yes. I quickly learned that there's nothing worse than having nothing to do every day, and if I could go back to say no, then I would. I missed so many opportunities and crippled my future because of that yes. A few years later, I met a girl online and we grew close. For 4 years, I had a long-distance relationship with the girl and accrued more than $1,000 in debt to a friend because they paid for the constant back-and-forth visits. I was penniless at the time. The relationship didn't pan out and messed me up real bad. So at the end of the relationship, I had some serious debt, a skewed idea of what a relationship was, and was totally heartbroken for the next few years. It's a mistake, but one that I would make again. I strongly believe in risking things for love, and the only thing I really regret is the money I borrowed. These are a few of the biggest mistakes I've ever made. I hope that this hasn't tainted your image of me. I am a very different person now. It took a lot of introspection and work to pull away from those terrible aspects of myself, but that's kind of what you have to do. Always work to become the best version of yourself. I'm going to put this video in its own playlist. If this video inspires you to make your own mistakes video, then you can send me a link and I will place it into the playlist alongside this one. We're all people just trying to make our way, and our mistakes define who we become. As long as we can learn from them, then there's no reason to feel ashamed. Thank you for taking the time to watch this through.